All the developments coming out of Yemen. I'm joined now by Asher Orkaby. He's a senior research fellow, I should say, on Middle East Studies at Brandeis University in Massachusetts. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, we've heard a lot just in the last few minutes. Rebels storming a presidential palace. There's this jailbreak. The first Saudi casualty, a Saudi border guard killed. And of course, we just talked to our correspondent with that Chinese ship with all of these people being evacuated out. A lot of developments. Which do you see as the most significant?
You know, the taking of the crater is one of the most significant areas in Aden, maybe the first in a stage of least bad outcomes. So I do see this as a positive outcome in that the best outcome for Yemen at this stage would be a federated state where the Houthis would have control of the north, primarily Zaidi area, and the Al-Hiraq Southern movement would have control of the south. This goes according to a meeting that the Houthis had in between some of the leaders of the Al-Hiraq movement back in December. This would be the best of worst outcomes for the current situation in Yemen.
Well, as you said, best of the worst, because it seems like there's a lot of bad outcomes. Large number of these jail escapees, jihadists, in fact, one a top al-Qaeda official. How does this change the fighting on the ground there? Of course, the CIA somewhat alarmed because some of these folks apparently have the capacity to build these intricate bombs that could end up on airplanes.
There's only one winner, one sure winner, that is, in this entire conflict, and that's Al-Qaeda of the Arabian Peninsula, or AQAP. With each bomb that falls on Houthis, on Houthi areas, the Houthi movement becomes more popular. However, bombs falling on Houthis means additional Houthi troops that cannot fight al-Qaeda. And until this point, for the past several months, the Houthis have been locked in street battles throughout the eastern part of Yemen with the forces of al-Qaeda. And in fact, the Houthis are the most seasoned and capable fighting force in South Arabia.
You recently wrote a piece about the Saudi assault, and you talked about the echoes of international intervention in the 1962 Civil War. It's a very thoughtful piece. Kind of walk us through this, and I guess this could be, in your estimation, a repeat of history in many ways.
I see exactly that it is a repeat of history, and that's probably just because I'm a historian. But in reality, the nation of Yemen, as we know it today, the Republic, was founded in 1962. The former Imam, Muhammad al-Badr, who was amongst the Zaidi tribes, the same tribes that are allied with the Houthi movement, was overthrown and staged a counter-revolution from the same northern highlands where the Houthis have their central power. The civil war lasted for about 6 years, and in 1968, it finally came to a resolution. The resolution was finally signed in 1970, and there was some kind of agreement between the northern tribes and the Republic, which formed the Yemeni state that we know today. That being said, there's one character that emerged in 1970, a guy named Abdul Karim al-Iryani. He was a neutral figure, a Qadi or a religious judge who was respected by both sides and was able to serve as a neutral party. I don't see a same neutral figure emerging within the current context, although the former President Saleh likes to paint himself as a neutral figure and has emerged really as the spokesperson for the Houthi movement. I think this is an important point to consider when looking at the current Houthi crisis.
Asher, but the point you were making is that the Saudis are not helping the situation at all, and if anything, galvanizing support for the Houthis in many respects.
That's accurate. That again, as I said, the Houthis are just increasing the popularity of the Houthis with each bomb, because the Houthis are seen as defenders of Yemen. It's important to understand that the Saudis, since the first war with Yemen in 1933, have really been guided by one general grand strategy in Yemen, and that is to keep the Yemeni government weak, to keep the central government weak, so that it doesn't threaten the Saudi kingdom. The Houthis represented a potential strong central government, and this was alarming to the Saudis, who, again, as I said, prefer to have a weak Yemeni state.
All right, Asher Orkaby joining us there from the U.S. state of Massachusetts. Thanks so much.